Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a viral video about immigration that's really got people talking. It sets up this huge contrast, right? Pitting Australia against Poland to make a really bold point about two totally different ways of doing things.
All right, so let's get right into it. The whole argument from the YouTube channel TruthX really boils down to this one big question. They're basically setting up a showdown between Poland's super tight policies and Australia's recent, open door approach. And the big idea is, what can we actually learn when you put these two side by side?
So the video takes these really complicated national policies and just boils them down to two competing ideas. On one hand, you've got what it calls Australia's approach, prioritizing growth optics, basically looking like you're growing economically. And on the other hand, you have Poland's strategy, control first, which is all about strict management and enforcement. You know, this kind of black and white framing, it's classic for viral videos like this, because it takes a huge, messy global topic and makes it feel like a simple choice.
Okay, so first up, let's take a closer look at Australia's side of the story, what the video calls the growth optics model.
And boom, here's the number that the video really hammers home. 500,000 people. It points to this peak net migration number and says, look, Australia's intake has just exploded, way faster than its ability to actually handle it or enforce its own rules. And the video claims this was all for political points.
And from there, the video lays out what it sees as the consequences, kind of like a domino effect. According to the source, this huge, rapid influx directly leads to all these pressures on society. I mean, it's tapping into a very real fear, right? The idea that super fast change can just overwhelm a country's ability to keep up, and that starts to affect everybody's day-to-day life.
All right, so now let's flip the coin and look at Poland's approach. The video presents this as the total opposite, a system built from the ground up on that control-first idea.
The source then breaks down this multi-layered strategy. It claims Poland uses these four main tools to get ahead of the curve and manage migration. So what you're seeing is a picture of a system that's really proactive, really top-down, which is a huge contrast to the picture it just painted of Australia, which it framed as being more reactive.
And then, to really drive the point home, the video throws in this quote. It's meant to show just how unapologetic the political thinking is behind these tough policies. The message here is crystal clear. The government is saying our number one priority is our own citizens and our country, and we don't really care what anyone else thinks about it.
Okay, so you've got these two totally different systems. What's the result? Well, according to the video, the answer lies almost completely in the numbers around safety and public order.
And the video doesn't just suggest a connection. It draws a straight line. It argues that because of Poland's specific policies, they get these results: high levels of public safety and what it calls strong social cohesion.
And to back that claim up, the source brings out the data. It points to EU-wide surveys where people in Poland report some of the lowest rates of crime, violence, or vandalism in the entire bloc. Plus, it highlights that their homicide rate is always hanging out below the EU average.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because the video zooms out to a global scale. It shows that Poland actually ranks in the top 30 countries worldwide on the Global Peace Index. So the argument being made is not just, hey, these policies work at home, but hey, these policies are producing results that the whole world recognizes. And, for an audience that cares about where their country stands on the world stage, that's a pretty powerful argument.
So where is all this heading? How does the video tie this all together? Well, it all builds up to what's framed as a very direct lesson, and it's aimed squarely at Australia.
And here's the absolute crux of it. The video is saying Poland's safety isn't just some happy accident. Nope, it's the direct result of making specific, tough choices. And by extension, it frames Australia's problems as the direct result of, well, choosing a different path.
And this right here, control over optics, this is the big takeaway the video wants you to remember. The whole idea is that Poland chose real, tangible control over just the appearance, the optics, of being open and growing fast. This phrase is everything. It shifts the whole debate away from the usual stuff like economics or culture and puts it squarely on the idea of a country just managing itself.
But the video doesn't just leave it there on a down note. It actually ends with a kind of call to action. The narrator basically says, hey, a different way is possible. The suggestion is that Australia can dig itself out of this hole if it's willing to look at and maybe even copy some of what Poland is doing with its more regulated system.
And so, at the end of the day, the video leaves you, the viewer, with a really provocative question. It takes this giant, messy issue of modern immigration and boils it down to what it sees as one fundamental choice for countries like Australia. Is the real key to success prioritizing strict control over the optics of growth and openness? And that's the big question it leaves hanging in the air.